We have covered pet shelters and endangered sea animals this morning, and now we're talking about creatures of the night, bats. Many sleep under Buffalo Bayou Bridge, but with the freeze, they get cold stunned and then are at risk of dying. Joining us now is Wildlife Deputy Director of the Houston Humane Society Wildlife Center, Kelsey Milan. Good morning, Kelsey. So
Good morning. How are you today?
Good, thank you. I know you had a busy night. What have y'all been doing to save the bats during this freeze?
So we have been going out to bridges that we have identified previously as bridges where these bats roost. And so we're going to those bridges every few hours to check if any of them have fallen down from being cold stunned. And we are collecting the ones that we find on the ground. When we find them, they are motionless, just laying there helpless. And then we gather them in these boxes with the fleece in the bottom for comfort and warmth. And we bring them back to our wildlife center, which is what you're seeing here is the first step. We put them in these incubators to warm them up, and we put some humidifiers in there for them to help them stay hydrated and moisturized. And then once they start to wake up after being cold stunned, we go through and we hydrate all of them, give them all fluids, assess them for any injuries or potential head trauma from the fall.
Oh wow, yeah. And so these bats that we're looking at right now, you guys were able to get these from local bridges and overpasses?
That's correct, yeah. So we got some of them from Pearland, some of them from Waugh Bridge. We've identified about 7 locations around Houston that we know that bats roost. There, I'm sure, are more that we haven't identified. Unfortunately, we can't save them all, so we're trying to get as many as we can from the areas we know that we see them.
Yeah, and about how many, oh wow, we're looking at video now of you guys actually collecting them under the bridges. Do you know about how many you got while you were there? Wow.
So we've gotten about almost 1,600 so far, and we have another 100 on the way this morning. And we plan to go out again today every few hours to go and collect them as they fall. The faster we can get to them, the better chance they have. So we want to make sure that we're going out there every few hours to collect them as they're falling, because they're still falling all the time, unfortunately.
What's the care going to be like for 1,700 bats? What are you going to do once they're with you?
Great question. So once we've got them all hydrated with fluids, we plan to put them in a state called torpor, which is almost like a hibernation type state for these bats that makes them inactive and slows down their metabolism so they won't be as hungry, because 1,600 is a lot of mouths to feed. Yeah. So once they're in that state of torpor, they all just will huddle together in their little colonies and wait until they are no longer in torpor. They can survive in that state for a few days, and so once it warms up again, we will release them back at the bridges where we found them as colonies.
Okay, so they are, I see that there's like a time stamp or something on the, where you have them now. So you guys document where you got them from or something, and then you have to put them in the exact same place where they came from?
That's correct, yeah. So with wildlife in general, whenever we get them from the public or from us collecting them, we always document the location where we found them so that we can try and put them back close to where they came from. Particularly with bats, this is very important because they do have colonies and they recognize each other in their colonies, and they thrive best when they're put back with their original colony. So yeah, that is why we put them in that location, as well as with just wildlife in general to prevent any potential spread of diseases to other areas, just making sure that everybody that came from that area is being put back so that we are not putting, 1,600 bats in one bridge in Houston and making all of them in that one spot. We can try to disperse them throughout the areas. So.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's genius, and they probably are, familiar with the area for food and other survival too. So that's really brilliant of you guys to think that through and plan it out so well. So can you explain though why go through all of this for bats? Can you explain why bats are important to our ecosystem?
Yes, of course. So aside from just that we are animal lovers here and we love bats, of course, there are great benefits to having bats around in our community as well. So for anybody that doesn't like mosquitoes, these guys are your best friend because they eat lots and lots of mosquitoes and an assortment of other bugs every night. For our farmers, it's very beneficial because they eat the moths that destroy some of their crops, and so it prevents them from having to use as many pesticides on their crops. It's also just that these animals used to have a lot more natural areas to hide out from these cold stunned events and from these freezes that would prevent them from being in such direct contact with the extremely cold wind. And so if they had their natural areas to live in still, they wouldn't be experiencing so much of this cold stunned behavior. So it's also just a little bit that we need to do our part to help them, since we're part of the reason that they've been displaced.
Interesting. Yeah. So when do you plan to release the bats back to their colonies? Is this something that people could go out and watch?
We are hoping to do a public release with them. We are still determining when we're going to be releasing them because we have found out that it may potentially freeze on Friday again. So we would hate to release them and then have to go and collect them again. So we're still working with our team to determine when we are going to be releasing them back. So since there is potential for freezing again, it may be a little bit delayed. We were initially planning to release them tomorrow, but it's looking like it's going to freeze again. So we'll have to work together to figure that out.
Yeah, and so how can people find out when you do decide to do that? Is there some place that they can get more information?
Yeah, so our Facebook, we are posting live on there, and we're posting very, very regularly about our whole team collecting these bats, treating these bats. So that would be a great way to find out the information. And on our website, we do post some updates there as well.
That's awesome. Kelsey Milan.
HoustonHumaneWildlife.org.
HoustonHumaneWildlife.org. Excellent. Okay. Kelsey Milan, Wildlife Deputy Director with the Houston Humane Society Wildlife Center. Thank you so much. Is there anything you want to add before I let you go?
Yeah, just if you are interested in helping us with our efforts, that HoustonHumaneWildlife.org would be where you would go to make a donation to help us. And also if you wanted to get involved as a volunteer with us, we have volunteers that help us identify bridges that have bats that need help.
Yeah. That's a great idea. You know, I think that one's hungry, so I'm going to let you go. I think some of them are probably looking for food right now. Again, thank you for taking time to talk to us this morning. That's pretty cool stuff you're doing.
Yeah, thank you so much. Have a great day.